Andrew Cuomo is in quite a bit of trouble. It keeps getting worse and worse for the governor of New York. Now, of course, his brother, Chris Cuomo, is a CNN anchor. Here's what happened the other day when another scandal broke involving Andrew Cuomo. Look at how Chris Cuomo handled it.
Before we start tonight, let me say something that I'm sure is very obvious to you who watch my show. And thank you for that. You're straight with me, I'll be straight with you. Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on with my brother. And obviously, I cannot cover it because he is my brother. Now, of course, CNN has to cover it. They have covered it extensively, and they will continue to do so. I have always cared very deeply about these issues, and profoundly so. I just wanted to tell you that. There's a lot of news going on that matters also, so let's get after that.
I can't cover it because he's my brother. Really? Because whenever it was something positive, you covered it. In fact, you threw softballs down the center of the plate for him for like a year. Chris Cuomo would have Andrew Cuomo on. They'd talk about, oh my God, you're so great at fighting the coronavirus. You're a leader in this country and people love you. And here's 1,000 articles where people are saying they're Cuomo-sexuals because you can speak in full sentences at these press conferences, even though behind the scenes you're making terrible decisions. But oh, we love you. And there were moments, one of them was holding like a giant Q-tip thing and yucking it up and laughing. They'd talk about, hey, what about our Sunday dinners that we have over here? You know, when they bring the meatballs and the pasta sauce. Hey, bring the pasta sauce. Hey. They were having fun and having like a family reunion all the time on CNN, where it was nothing but fawning positive coverage and praise. So when it's positive stuff, you can cover it, and you can have him on and pat him on the back and tell him he's doing a wonderful job. But when it's negative stuff, listen, what can I do? It's my brother. I can't talk about this. I can't cover it because he's my brother. I have a conflict of interest. That's right. That's right. You have a conflict of interest. You also had a conflict of interest when you were yucking it up with him and talking about Sunday dinners and making it seem like he was doing a wonderful job fighting COVID when he wasn't. God, it's selective bullshit. This is CNN. This is CNN. This is what's supposed to be the number one name in news. No, this is biased corporate Democrat propaganda. I'm sorry, it's true. But everybody out there who's a Republican who thinks like, yeah, you go get him, Kyle, with this rant. Fox News is the same shit for Republicans. Are you kidding me? That's the Donald Trump propaganda network. That's the establishment Republican Party network. MSNBC does propaganda for the corporate Democrats. CNN does propaganda for the corporate Democrats and sometimes the entire establishment, and Fox News does propaganda for the Republicans. So nobody's telling you the truth. But they're all incredibly biased, and they're all covering for power, one faction or another of people who are in power. So what you need to understand is how gross this is and how this shows how broken the media is. I don't know how anybody can let him get away with this when he was giving him positive coverage all the time. You didn't say, I can't have him on or talk to him because he's my brother. Then, when it was positive, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. Now, by the way, I will say this. It is gross to me that when we were talking about Andrew Cuomo making decisions that kill grandma and grandpa, when we were talking about Andrew Cuomo lying about the number of deaths from nursing homes, that was a big scandal, but you didn't have other liberal elites throw him under the bus. They sort of shut up and look the other way. But now the story that's actually making them throw him under the bus is what? Sexual harassment stuff. #MeToo stuff. So as of right now, as of the time that this is being recorded, there are 3 women who say, he inappropriately touched me or inappropriately made a move at me and said really sketchy things or whatever. This is the thing that's leading New York lawmakers to strip him of his extra pandemic powers. This is the thing that's making other elected Democrats throw him under the bus. Guys, the thing that should have been the last straw was the out-and-out lies about COVID deaths and the decision to put old people back in nursing homes when they were COVID positive, which led to the absolute death and devastation and destruction and a drastic, sharp increase in the number of COVID deaths in New York. That should have been the last straw. Why is that not something you absolutely should throw him under the bus for that. But no, they sort of gave that a semi-pass, and then now with the sexual harassment stuff, they're like, that's it. So what? Killing grandma is not as big of a crime as Me Too sexual harassment stuff? It just shows you the priorities are so broken in the media system, and forget the media, and among Democratic elites. The priorities are just shattered. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to downplay what happened with the sexual harassment stuff and the Me Too stuff. That stuff is absolutely valid. But let's be serious. We have no uniform standard for this stuff. Because Donald Trump was accused of Me Too style stuff, and he brushed it off and kept moving forward. Joe Biden was accused of a bunch of Me Too stuff and brushed it off and moved forward. And now Andrew Cuomo is being accused of similar stuff, and, is he going to brush it off and move forward? Probably, but there's an actual attempt to get him to resign over this, and it wasn't as much the case when he was making decisions that killed grandma and grandpa. So he's just a disgusting figure across the board. But the thing that should really be a wake-up call for everybody watching this is just how much the media leaned into making him a hero, and they prioritized the narrative over reality. I mean, this idiot released a book as the pandemic was still raging. He released a book acting like we defeated it and he was the reason. I mean, just absolutely absurd. So everybody should understand how terrible a politician he is, and also how there was a system that covered up for him every step of the way. Thankfully, the tides are turning, because it was just a little too much now with the Me Too stuff, where you even have Democratic elites and some factions of the media turning on him. It's too little too late, but I guess you still have to say better late than never. But really, man, this should be a cautionary tale moving forward. Don't make heroes based on a narrative. If you're gonna make heroes, which you probably shouldn't do, period, it should be based on the actual facts. And the facts never lined up to show that Andrew Cuomo was doing some sort of glorious job fighting COVID. He was just the beneficiary of being the governor of New York and having a media system that covered him early on when there was a void of leadership on COVID-19. His regular press conferences, people thought, he seems like a smart guy and he seems like he's on top of it. It was all a show, man. It was all a show, and now you know that for sure.